স্পিচটি লাইভ শুনবো এবং তার কথা শোনার পরে আমরা আবার ফিরে আসছি আপনাদের কাছে। দর্শক আমাদের সাথে থাকুন।
With limitless possibilities. People not trapped by our past, but able to remake ourselves as we choose. But today, our immigration system is broken, and everybody knows it. Families who enter our country the right way and play by the rules watch others flout the rules. Business owners who offer their workers good wages and benefits see the competition exploit undocumented immigrants by paying them far less. All of us take offense to anyone who reaps the rewards of living in America without taking on the responsibilities of living in America. And undocumented immigrants who desperately want to embrace those responsibilities see little option but to remain in the shadows or risk their families being torn apart. It's been this way for decades. And for decades, we haven't done much about it. When I took office, I committed to fixing this broken immigration system. And I began by doing what I could to secure our borders. Today, we have more agents and technology deployed to secure our southern border than at any time in our history. And over the past 6 years, illegal border crossings have been cut by more than half. Although this summer there was a brief spike in unaccompanied children being apprehended at our border, the number of such children is now actually lower than it's been in nearly 2 years. Overall, the number of people trying to cross our border illegally is at its lowest level since the 1970s. Those are the facts. Meanwhile, I worked with Congress on a comprehensive fix. And last year, 68 Democrats, Republicans, and independents came together to pass a bipartisan bill in the Senate. It wasn't perfect. It was a compromise. But it reflected common sense. It would have doubled the number of Border Patrol agents while giving undocumented immigrants a pathway to citizenship if they paid a fine, started paying their taxes, and went to the back of the line. And independent experts said that it would help grow our economy and shrink our deficits. Had the House of Representatives allowed that kind of bill, a simple yes or no vote, they would have passed with support from both parties. And today it would be the law. But for a year and a half now, Republican leaders in the House have refused to allow that simple vote. Now, I continue to believe that the best way to solve this problem is by working together to pass that kind of common sense law. But until that happens, there are actions I have the legal authority to take as president, the same kinds of actions taken by Democratic and Republican presidents before me, that will help make our immigration system more fair and more just. Tonight, I'm announcing those actions. First, we'll build on our progress at the border with additional resources for our law enforcement personnel so that they can stem the flow of illegal crossings and speed the return of those who do cross over. Second, I'll make it easier and faster for high-skilled immigrants, graduates, and entrepreneurs to stay and contribute to our economy, as so many business leaders have proposed. Third, we'll take steps to deal responsibly with the millions of undocumented immigrants who already live in our country. I want to say more about this third issue because it generates the most passion and controversy. Even as we are a nation of immigrants, we're also a nation of laws. Undocumented workers broke our immigration laws, and I believe that they must be held accountable, especially those who may be dangerous. That's why over the past 6 years, deportations of criminals are up 80%. And that's why we're going to keep focusing enforcement resources on actual threats to our security. Felons, not families. Criminals, not children. Gang members, not a mom who's working hard to provide for her kids. We'll prioritize, just like law enforcement does every day. But even as we focus on deporting criminals, the fact is millions of immigrants in every state, of every race and nationality, still live here illegally. And let's be honest, tracking down, rounding up, and deporting millions of people isn't realistic. Anyone who suggests otherwise isn't being straight with you. It's also not who we are as Americans. After all, most of these immigrants have been here a long time. They work hard, often in tough, low-paying jobs. They support their families. They worship at our churches. Many of their kids are American-born or spent most of their lives here. And their hopes, dreams, and patriotism are just like ours. As my predecessor, President Bush, once put it, they are a part of American life. Now, here's the thing. We expect people who live in this country to play by the rules. We expect that those who cut the line will not be unfairly rewarded. So we're going to offer the following deal. If you've been in America for more than 5 years, if you have children who are American citizens or legal residents, if you register, pass a criminal background check, and you're willing to pay your fair share of taxes, you'll be able to apply to stay in this country temporarily without fear of deportation. You can come out of the shadows and get right with the law. That's what this deal is. Now let's be clear about what it isn't. This deal does not apply to anyone who has come to this country recently. It does not apply to anyone who might come to America illegally in the future. It does not grant citizenship or the right to stay here permanently or offer the same benefits that citizens receive. Only Congress can do that. All we're saying is we're not going to deport you. I know some of the critics of this action call it amnesty. Well, it's not. Amnesty is the immigration system we have today. Millions of people who live here without paying their taxes or playing by the rules, while politicians use the issue to scare people and whip up votes at election time. That's the real amnesty, leaving this broken system the way it is. Mass amnesty would be unfair. Mass deportation would be both impossible and contrary to our character. What I'm describing is accountability, a common-sense middle ground approach. If you meet the criteria, you can come out of the shadows and get right with the law. If you're a criminal, you'll be deported. If you plan to enter the U.S. illegally, your chances of getting caught and sent back just went up. The actions I'm taking are not only lawful, they're the kinds of actions taken by every single Republican president and every single Democratic president for the past half-century. And to those members of Congress who question my authority to make our immigration system work better, or question the wisdom of me acting where Congress has failed, I have one answer. Pass a bill. I want to work with both parties to pass a more permanent legislative solution. And the day I sign that bill into law, the actions I take will no longer be necessary. Meanwhile, don't let a disagreement over a single issue be a deal breaker on every issue. That's not how our democracy works. And Congress certainly shouldn't shut down our government again just because we disagree on this. Americans are tired of gridlock. What our country needs from us right now is a common purpose, a higher purpose. Most Americans support the types of reforms I've talked about tonight, but I understand the disagreements held by many of you at home. Millions of us, myself included, go back generations in this country, with ancestors who put in the painstaking work to become citizens. So we don't like the notion that anyone might get a free pass to American citizenship. I know some worry immigration will change the very fabric of who we are, or take our jobs, or stick it to middle-class families at a time when they already feel like they've gotten the raw deal for over a decade. I hear those concerns. But that's not what these steps would do. Our history and the facts show that immigrants are a net plus for our economy and our society. And I believe it's important that all of us have this debate without impugning each other's character. Because for all the back and forth of Washington, we have to remember that this debate is about something bigger. It's about who we are as a country and who we want to be for future generations. Are we a nation that tolerates the hypocrisy of a system where workers who pick our fruit and make our beds never have a chance to get right with the law? Or are we a nation that gives them a chance to make amends, take responsibility, and give their kids a better future? Are we a nation that accepts the cruelty of ripping children from their parents' arms? Or are we a nation that values families, and works together to keep them together? Are we a nation that educates the world's best and brightest in our universities only to send them home to create businesses in countries that compete against us? Or are we a nation that encourages them to stay and create jobs here, create businesses here, create industries right here in America? That's what this debate is all about. We need more than politics as usual when it comes to immigration. We need reasoned, thoughtful, compassionate debate that focuses on our hopes, not our fears. I know the politics of this issue are tough, but let me tell you why I have come to feel so strongly about it. Over the past years, I've seen the determination of immigrant fathers who worked 2 or 3 jobs without taking a dime from the government and at risk any moment of losing it all just to build a better life for their kids. I've seen the heartbreak and anxiety of children whose mothers might be taken away from them just because they didn't have the right papers. I've seen the courage of students who, except for the circumstances of their birth, are as American as Malia or Sasha, students who bravely come out as undocumented in hopes they could make a difference in the country they love. These people, our neighbors, our classmates, our friends, they did not come here in search of a free ride or an easy life. They came to work and study and serve in our military, and above all, contribute to America's success. Now, tomorrow I'll travel to Las Vegas and meet with some of these students, including a young woman named Astrid Silva. Astrid was brought to America when she was 4 years old. Her only possessions were a cross, her doll, and the frilly dress she had on. When she started school, she didn't speak any English. She caught up to other kids by reading newspapers and watching PBS. And she became a good student. Her father worked in landscaping. Her mom cleaned other people's homes. They wouldn't let Astrid apply to a technology magnet school, not because they didn't love her, but because they were afraid the paperwork would out her as an undocumented immigrant. So she applied behind their back and got in. Still, she mostly lived in the shadows until her grandmother, who visited every year from Mexico, passed away. And she couldn't travel to the funeral without risk of being found out and deported. It was around that time she decided to begin advocating for herself and others like her. And today, Astrid Silva is a college student working on her 3rd degree. Are we a nation that kicks out a striving, hopeful immigrant like Astrid? Or are we a nation that finds a way to welcome her in? Scripture tells us that we shall not oppress a stranger, for we know the heart of a stranger. We were strangers once too. My fellow Americans, we are and always will be a nation of immigrants. We were strangers once too. And whether our forebears were strangers who crossed the Atlantic or the Pacific or the Rio Grande, we are here only because this country welcomed them in and taught them that to be an American is about something more than what we look like or what our last names are or how we worship. What makes us Americans is our shared commitment to an ideal, that all of us are created equal, and all of us have the chance to make of our lives what we will. That's the country our parents and grandparents and generations before them built for us. That's the tradition we must uphold. That's the legacy we must leave for those who are yet to come. Thank you. God bless you. And God bless this country we love.
President Obama from the East Room of the White House tonight, giving a primetime address to the country, talking for about 14 minutes, saying to the country that he will act alone on immigration. His plan includes to allow
প্রিয় দর্শক, ফিরে এলাম আপনাদের প্রিয় অনুষ্ঠান ইউএস ইমিগ্রেশন উইথ ব্রেটস এন্ড কোবেন। এতক্ষণ আমরা দেখলাম ওবামা স্পিচ অ্যাবাউট ইমিগ্রেশন রিফর্ম। দর্শক, আমরা যেটা ওবামা বললেন ইমিগ্রেশন রিফর্ম নিয়ে, আমরা সেটা নিয়ে কথা বলবো আজকে। আমরা যাচ্ছি ক্যারি এবং আইলিনের কাছে। Kerry, so as he said that...
So Obama said a lot of things that were
Right.
great, and I love the way Obama puts things: felons, not families.
Right.
He was very, very articulate and very careful to lay out that he was continuing doing a lot on enforcement,
Right.
and actually kind of patting himself on the back on how much enforcement he actually has done.
That is a good thing that he started with that he will protect the border first, and then he's including the reform with it.
Right,
So
and
it
in
is
fact, he said a statistic that I think a lot of people don't realize. He has cut in half the amount of border crossings since he's been the president, more than any other president.
Absolutely.
And this was always the cry from Republicans: "Oh, we have to do enforcement first." Well, he's already done that without their help. And I think he said the second thing he said that was really important was he wants to see bipartisan reform. He wants to see the bill that the Senate passed in a bipartisan way in a couple of years ago in 2012. He wants to see that brought to the House. Bring it to the House and have a vote on it.
Right.
He was a little bit vaguer about the actual specifics, although there was a press release from the White House that has a few more details. So interesting. We kind of expected the 5-year rule, more or less. You've been here for 5 years.
5 years, yes.
Children who are citizens or residents, certain criminal bars, you're going to have to pay some fines and fees, and you're going to have to pay some taxes.
Does he say that you have to be here within like 5 years, and you have to have a citizen child, or you can be here 5 years?
That's not 100%. Yeah, it's not 100% clear to me the way he phrased that, and I think tomorrow or later today we will get more specifics from the White House.
Okay. So
the other really interesting, and what it's going to be probably is a work authorization, although he didn't say that, a work authorization for 3 years for those people who qualify.
Right.
So it's not a green card, it's not citizenship, but the right to live here and work and file taxes.
And also leaving without the fear of throwing out from this country.
Correct.
As long as you can pay taxes and you're not doing any criminal activities.
The innuendo was we have limited resources. Let's focus our deportations on the bad boys and leave the family people alone.
Exactly.
He did say one other thing that I want to mention real fast before we open it up maybe to Eileen or to questions. He didn't use the term STEM, but he did say people who are studying or working in technology areas. And what he was referring to, and I think this will be made clear from whatever release the White House does with the details, there's been a great focus on people who are STEM, scientists, technology, engineering, and mathematics. We have a bad system right now. We educate those folks, and then we say it's really difficult for you to get a green card. Why don't you go work in some other country?
Some other country,
And so I think the idea of making it easier for these folks to live and work here makes a lot of sense, because obviously they're an asset here.
You can use their intelligence while they're studying here. So obviously they're assets to this country. And hopefully this will be a good decision making, because there are many students, as I know also personally, they're very brilliant. They're studying in science, mathematics, and technologies. So
this is a country
this could be a
of
great
immigrants.
assets.
Yeah. And what he said was great. Unfortunately, and he did say this, and it's true, he can't grant green cards. He can't grant citizenship. And he wants to do that in a way where Congress passes a bill where it's not so easy. A path to citizenship. You know, you broke the laws, pay some fines, pay some dues, and then we'll give it to you. And that seems to make a lot of sense. And it's just beyond me why the Republican-controlled Congress can't get behind that.
Absolutely. It is really shocking, though.
Yeah, I do think that part of what he said, obviously, was to embarrass them for not already putting the bill to a vote.
Absolutely.
I mean,
Agreed.
he mentioned that initially. He mentioned it more than once. He said, you know, the House failed to act and give us a chance to vote.
Because he was trying for a long time.
And obviously, he does not. This is a little fix. It's a Band-Aid. It clearly isn't what he wants. He wants them to still act. And as Kerry mentioned, I believe during the last show, he's trying to put this session that's still in power, that's about to go out in January, which in this country is known as a lame duck session,
right.
that he wants them to act and act quickly.
And they might.
And that's probably why he did this now, before Thanksgiving.
I agree.
Where you still have a little bit of time.
I also love, since you're bringing up putting the pressure on the Republicans and trying to embarrass them. He mentioned Bush. Bush said immigrants, illegal or not, are part of American life. Because Bush, believe it or not, tried to put through an amnesty, and the Republican, I think it was Republican, could have been Democrat as well, but one of the Senates back in 2004, I think, or 2005, had actually passed an immigration reform under Bush, and it went nowhere. So there was a Republican president pushing for it.
Right.
Of course, unfortunately, the Republican Party is somewhat influenced by the Tea Party. A small minority who seems to have most of the money and the biggest mouths are probably going to prevent the Congress from going forward. But this was a nice, bold step by the president.
Oh, and
that
he
will
was
help
very
a lot
clear.
of people, but not everybody.
He was very clear to say, listen, we don't want people to jump ahead of the line. We want people to do it the right way. But for those that are here, he made it clear that, hey, I'm not just giving out an amnesty.
Correct.
This isn't like I violated the laws. I'm going to give you a gift for your bad,
He cleared
behavior.
it that this is not an amnesty. But
he's
he also embarrassed with that, make clear, what we are living in, it is an amnesty. So this is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Okay,
He's trying to embarrass. He's trying to embarrass those people that haven't done anything for decades.
And he's been trying harder. We all see that. Okay, let's see a caller. We have a caller here. Hello. হ্যালো ওয়ালাইকুম আসসালাম নাম বলুন এবং কোথা থেকে
আমি কুইন্সের উত্তরে থেকে বলছি
আচ্ছা বলুন আপনার কোশ্চেনটা বলুন
কোশ্চেন হলো আমরা হাজবেন্ড ওয়াইফ 2011 এ আমরা সিটিজেন হয়েছি
আচ্ছা
বাট আমার একটা ছেলে আছে 15 ইয়ার
হ্যাঁ
এখন ওর হয় নাই বা আর কোনো সিটিজেনের জন্য কোনো পরীক্ষা দিতে হয় না ঠিক আছে এখন হলো ওর পাসপোর্ট আমরা করে ফেলছি বাট ওর নাই যে সার্টিফিকেটটা নেই
সিটিজেনশিপ সার্টিফিকেটটা করার কথা বলছেন
সার্টিফিকেটটা নেই আর হলো গ্রিন কার্ডটা আমরা হারিয়ে ফেলছি
গ্রিন কার্ড হারিয়ে ফেলেছেন
হ্যাঁ বাট আমরা আবার পুলিশ রিপোর্ট নিয়ে আসছি
আচ্ছা
পুলিশ রিপোর্ট নিয়ে আসছি বাট এখন কোথায় যে যোগাযোগ করব আর কি করতে হবে এটা বুঝতে পারতেছি না
ওকে সো আপনার কোশ্চেন হচ্ছে যে আপনার ছেলের পাসপোর্টটা আপনি অ্যাপ্লিকেশন করে পেয়েছেন কিন্তু আপনি সিটিজেনশিপের যে সার্টিফিকেটটা ওটার জন্য অ্যাপ্লাই করতে চাচ্ছেন কোথায় করবেন সেটা তো আর আপনি গ্রিন কার্ডটা হারিয়ে ফেলেছেন রাইট
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ
ওকে ঠিক আছে থ্যাংক ইউ জাহানারা আপনি আমাদের সাথেই থাকেন okay her question is like she's a citizen she got citizenship in 2011 she have a child 15-year-old she lost the green card she got the passport but she wants to have a citizenship certificate. So now how she can get it?
Well, if she's a United States citizen and her daughter or her son is a lawful permanent resident, he is a citizen by derivation at the time the mother naturalized. They can file what's called an N-600 application to get the certificate of citizenship.
Right.
The fact that they don't have the actual card. Usually,
she got a police certificate, police report.
Does she have a copy of the card? You're going to have to establish to CIS that he has a green card. So usually one of the requirements is a copy of the green card. If they don't have a copy of the green card,
the fact that they don't have the green card is not going to prevent him. First of all, he happens to already be a citizen by operation of law.
Right.
So now they want to get proof of that, and so they can file the N-600 with Citizenship and Immigration Services here in the New York District. It's about 8 months, 6 or 8 months to get to an interview. The fact that he lost the green card is not a problem as long as they have a police report, and they will give him a certificate of citizenship, and then he can go get a U.S. passport.
Kerry, she mentioned that he already got the the passport.
Yeah,
US
and you can
passport.
actually go to the
So
post
he can
office
send
and
the
apply
copy?
for the
No,
passport.
he already got it. That's what she said. The U.S.
He already
passport is
got
in his
the US
possession.
passport.
Right. You can
She just want to have the
certificate.
naturalization certificate.
It's not naturalization. It's a certificate of citizenship
Certificate
because
of
he
citizenship.
derived it by operation of law. And the way to do it is with the N600. But it is true. Some people don't want to wait the 8 months and they go right to the post office to apply for a passport. And people are free to do both. And we often recommend that's what they do.
Okay, so she can do with the copy of the passport, or she have to have the green card copy?
No, just as long as she fills out the application. If she doesn't have a copy of the green card, she could use the police report, as Kerry said.
Oh, okay. So, জাহানারা, আপনার ছেলের জন্য যেটা আপনি করতে পারেন যে আপনি N600 একটা ফর্ম আছে, ওটা fill up করে আপনি National Visa Center, they have to send it, right?
No. CIS.
Citizenship and Immigration Services.
Okay.
Right.
It's,
National Visa Center is only if you're going to be applying abroad. It's the Visa
okay.
Center. So you want to
it's like
go to
parallel.
CIS, Citizenship and Immigration Services.
Okay. So আপনি USCIS এ আপনার ছেলের জন্য N600 একটা ফর্ম আছে, সেটা আপনি fill up করেন এবং পুলিশ রিপোর্টটা আপনি ওর সাথে অ্যাড করতে পারেন যদি আপনার কাছে গ্রিন কার্ডের কপি না থেকে থাকে। আর যদি গ্রিন কার্ডের কপি থাকে, আপনি along with the মানে গ্রিন কার্ডের কপি সহ আপনি পুলিশ সার্টিফিকেট সহ আপনি এটা ফাইল করতে পারেন তাদের কাছে, এবং ওর সাথে ফি যা লাগে আপনি সেটা জমা দিয়ে। So thank you, জাহানারা. Hopefully আপনি আবার কল করবেন. Okay. So we are. Let's come back to the Obama's speech. So we are talking about his.
Yeah, I think it's very interesting. He said that there are 3 things.
Correct.
Right? The very first thing, again, nailing home, I'm going to continue with enforcement to speed up the return of those who illegally enter. That's how I heard it. I don't know how you heard it.
That's the way I heard it too. First, he touted that, how much he's done in that area, and how much more he's going to do. And the underlying tone is, despite the lack of support from the
Correct.
Republican Congress, I'm going to continue being the enforcement guy.
Right,
Kerry,
which is usually what the argument is. You're just giving away immigration benefits, try to protect our borders, and that's why he started out with, I've already protected the borders. I've reduced it since, the 1970s, the number of people trying to immigrate.
The statistics were amazing.
And now I'm going to continue to put more money in enforcement, which is ICE, Immigration and Customs Enforcement. Those people that sometimes knock on your door at 6 a.m. So there's still going to be a lot of deportation going on, but the focus is those coming over that are doing it illegally, I think, and those that are criminals. How do you see it, Kerry?
Yeah, I see that too, and we do an awful lot of deportation defense for people with criminal history. And some of them have very minor criminal history, and they deserve a good defense. But there was certainly no alleviating deportation for those with a criminal history.
Yeah.
That's still going to be a high priority.
The question now becomes what constitutes criminal history. Does a DWI really knock somebody out? We don't know the answer to that yet. We're going to have to do a lot of work.
My money is on if you have a DWI, you're out because he excluded them from the deferred action for childhood arrivals.
Oh, very interesting. Yeah. And he does want people to go and get a criminal background check.
Fingerprint check is part of this.
So if you have a criminal background, you are not eligible to get
Maybe.
all of this.
Maybe.
We'll see. Maybe
It
disorderly
depends
conduct
upon what
would be
that
enough.
background is. Traditionally, what he did
specifically say that,
yeah,
though.
with deferred action for childhood arrivals, 1 felony, you couldn't get it. 3 misdemeanors, you couldn't get it.
Yeah.
And a significant misdemeanor, you couldn't get it. And that was a term that was never used before, but they included that to be DWIs. So we don't know what's going to be here. People who are thinking about doing this, who have a criminal background, need to get clear on what they have, how many times they've been arrested, what were the dispositions. Let's do that check now and get that organized.
That's a good thing. I'm going to tell my audience a little bit of translation about, it's going to be very brief, but I will mention them about the speech.
I love when you speak Bangla.
Thank you. That's the mother language, so obviously it is. I love to. দর্শক, আমাদের আজকের বিষয়টি ছিল ইমিগ্রেশন রিফর্ম নিয়ে, এখনো আছে। আমরা যেটা আমাদের অ্যাটর্নিরা এক্সপ্লেইন করলেন আপনাদের জন্য, আমি কিছুটা সংক্ষিপ্ত আপনাদেরকে বাংলায় ট্রান্সলেট করব। সেটা হচ্ছে যে ওবামার যে রিফর্ম নিয়ে কথা বললেন, মেইনলি যারা এখানে এখনো সবকিছু ক্লিয়ার না, তবুও যারা এখানে more than 5 years, মানে 5 বছরের বেশি আছেন, যাদের বাচ্চারা সিটিজেন এখানে জন্ম হয়েছে, তাদের জন্য খুব ভালো একটা সুযোগ। তাছাড়াও STM একটা যেটা ক্লিয়ারলি ওবামা বলেনি, কিন্তু যেটা সে বলেছে যে যারা এখানে পড়াশোনা করছে হয়তো বা যারা পড়াশোনা শেষ করেছে তাদের জন্য একটা সুযোগ আছে তাদেরকে এখানে থাকার, এবং হয়তো এটা গ্রিন কার্ড বা সিটিজেনশিপের দিকে যাচ্ছে না, কিন্তু তারপরেও একটা রাইটস তারা পাবে এখানে থাকার জন্য। তাদেরকে ওই ভয়ের ভিতরে থাকতে হচ্ছে না যে আমাদেরকে হয়তো আমাদের সন্তানরা এখানে সিটিজেন স্টিল আমাদেরকে হয়তো এই কান্ট্রি ছেড়ে চলে যেতে হবে। এবং আমরা সবাই জানি যে ইমিগ্রেশন অনেক একটা অন্ধকারাচ্ছন্ন অবস্থায় ছিল, যেটার কিছুটা হলেও আমরা আলোর মুখ দেখতে পাচ্ছি। আমাদের যারা আমরা এখানে বিজনেস করতে চাই বা যারা আমরা এখানে ট্যাক্স পে করতে চাই এবং আমরা এখানকার রুলস বা রেগুলেশন অনুযায়ী থাকতে চাই। সো দর্শক, আমরা আমাদেরকে আপনাদের এই সংক্রান্ত বিষয়ে যে কোনো কোয়েশ্চেন আপনারা করতে পারেন, আমাদেরকে প্রশ্ন করতে আপনারা ফোন করুন 718-389-9600। দর্শক, আমরা আপনাদের সাথেই আছি, আপনারা আমাদেরকে প্রশ্ন করুন যে কোনো ব্যাপারে, আপনাদের যে কোনো কমপ্লিকেটেড কেস নিয়ে, কারণ আমাদের সাথে যে অ্যাটর্নি আছেন তারা এই ব্যাপারে কমপ্লিকেটেড ইমিগ্রেশন কেসের ব্যাপারে তারা এক্সপার্ট, এবং তাদের এই ফিল্ডে তাদের 20 বছরেরও বেশি অভিজ্ঞতা আছে। সো দর্শক, ফোন করুন। থ্যাংক ইউ। ওকে, সো we have a caller here.
Oh, okay.
Shohag from New York, I'm sorry. Let's take the caller. Let's see what question we have. Shohag, hello? Hello, Shohag?
হ্যালো, হ্যাঁ শুনতে পাচ্ছেন?
জি, শুনতে পাচ্ছি, বলেন।
জি, আমার কোয়েশ্চন তো আমি আমার ভাই বোনের জন্য অ্যাপ্লাই করছি আর কি 2002 তে, এপ্রিল 2002 তে, বাট এভিডেন্স সাপোর্ট পাঠাই দিছি মনে করেন 2011 এ। এখন হয়তো আমি ওদের প্রায়োরিটি আসতেছে, তো আমার মনে হয় এটাকে আবার কি আমার এভিডেন্স সাপোর্ট দিতে হবে, নাকি ওই যে 2011 যেটা পাঠাইছে সেটাই চলবে? আর দ্বিতীয় কোয়েশ্চন হচ্ছে গিয়ে আপনার মানে তাদের কবে রাখতে পারে? ওদের এপ্রিলে হচ্ছে গিয়ে ওদের প্রায়োরিটি ডেট।
এপ্রিল কত সাল?
2002 এপ্রিল 2nd।
আচ্ছা, এপ্রিল 2002। হ্যাঁ, আচ্ছা আচ্ছা, আপনার কি আর কোনো কোয়েশ্চেন আছে ইমিগ্রেশন রিফর্ম বা অন্য কিছু নিয়ে?
না, এইটাই প্রথম থেকে আপনারা মনে করেন যে মানে এই যে এফিডেভিট সাপোর্ট কি আমাকে আবার দিতে হবে?
আচ্ছা, ঠিক আছে।
ওর আমাদের চেয়ে নিয়েছে 2011 এ।
সোহাগ, অবভিয়াসলি আপনাকে আবারও দিতে হবে, কারণ এটা এক্স্যাক্টলি প্রত্যেক বছরই আপডেট যদি হয়, আপনার ইমিগ্রেশন ডেফিনেটলি চাইবে আপনার কারেন্ট ইনকাম স্ট্যাটাসটা দেখতে চাইবে যখন আপনার কেসটা আপ টু ডেট হবে। তারপরেও যদি আপনি মনে করেন আপনি এটা তো ইমিগ্রেশন আপনাকে ডেফিনেটলি জানাবে। তারপর আমি অ্যাটর্নির কাছে আপনার কোয়েশ্চেনটি জিজ্ঞাসা করতে পারি, আপনি আমাদের সাথে থাকেন। Okay, thank you. His question is like he applied for his brother's 2002 and
he's not a king.
It's like 2011 he filed affidavit of support and everything. So it's a general question like.
But he said April of 2002, right?
April in 2002.
Right. So right now the brother-sister petitions are up to February of 2002. December goes to February 22nd.
He's current now.
2002. It's not current.
Almost.
It's 2 months off. So if he's already done the affidavit of support, that's great. But he will probably be seeing, his brother will probably be seeing an interview soon. They're not going to schedule him for an interview before it's current. So he's probably going to look at it within the next 4 or 6 months. But that's an estimate. I don't know for sure, but within a few months he'll be called.
His question was like, does he have to show them again the tax return and everything? I guess with the.
I mean, if he's already filed it, that normally has to be done through the National Visa Center.
Exactly.
They may ask for a new one and update it if it's expired. They
because
usually
it's
give 15 months.
And it's for 2014. It's a 3-year. So
no, well, 2012. If he filed it in 2012's taxes, we only have 2013 that's available. 2014 taxes haven't been filed yet.
No. I said he submit his tax file, like affidavit of support in 2011 to the National Visa Center. So it's Right now it's 2014.
So the National
probably
Visa
he's
Center
getting-
would then have to ask them for
Right.
an updated one.
So
Yeah,
probably
they're
he
not
have a
gonna,
chance
they're not
to.
going to be satisfied.
Yeah,
with
if it's
why
3
would
years
someone
old.
have submitted it so early? Don't people
I
normally?
think the
the-
National Visa
I think-
Center asks sometime.
Yeah, I think the numbers were
They
closer
regress.
and they regressed.
They regressed.
Right.
You know,
Okay.
Right.
so he'll probably be getting a notification pretty soon because usually they notify you within a few months of the priority date. So
Exactly.
he should
So
be getting one.
he should prepare for.
Yeah, he should have the
yeah.
last year's tax return.
সোহাগ আপনার কোয়েশ্চেনটির অ্যান্সার তারা যেটা দিলেন যে একই সেম থিং যেটা আমি বলেছি আপনাকে যে 2011 আপনি অ্যাফিডেভিট অফ সাপোর্ট ফাইল করেছেন সো ডেফিনেটলি এটা যেহেতু 3 বছর হয়ে গেছে হয়তো আপনার কাছে ওরা আবারও এইটা চাইতে পারে আর আপনার ভাইয়ের যে কেসটা এপ্রিল 2002 এখন চলছে হচ্ছে মার্চ ইউ সেড রাইট মার্চ 2002
April.
No, they're up to
current
February
status.
22nd. Will be in December.
Oh, okay. So February 2002 এর এখন প্রায়োরিটি যেটা চলছে ডেটটা সো আপনার বেশি সময়ও নেই সো অবভিয়াসলি আপনি এটার জন্য রেডি থাকতে পারেন থ্যাংক ইউ সোহাগ কল করার জন্য আশা করছি আপনার কোয়েশ্চেনটির উত্তর পেয়েছেন আপনি আর আমাদেরকে আবার ফোন করবেন থ্যাংক ইউ ওকে সো about STM, I just wanted to know more because there are many people who I know they're very good students and they are studying in engineering, and computer science, and they're very
Well, if they're in school and they are obviously here as international students, they really need to go in the school. After they complete their degree, that's when you get your OPT, and you usually do that through your advisor at the school.
Okay.
The advisor at the school will now tell you, "Wow, you're one of the elite fields of study, which is under STEM, the sciences." We're really consolidating it when we say STEM, but there are pages of degrees that qualify.
Okay.
So it's the sciences, it's technology, it's engineering, and it's mathematics. Now. Not anybody that just became a doctor may not qualify because it's very specific in the sciences.
Okay.
But those people are getting more than 12 months on their OPT, which is the optional practical training at the end of their degree. They're getting 29 months. They're getting an extra 17 months to now go ahead, have work authorization, find an employer who then may petition for them either to get a green card or a non-immigrant visa under the H's, so an H-1B possibly.
Oh.
What the president mentioned, and correct me if I heard it wrong, he said he's going to make it easier for high-skilled. That may be broader than the STEM field. We don't know. It may only be the STEM field. He wasn't very clear.
Right, and we also don't know if that is for, as you were just talking about, people who are currently on student visas trying to convert to green cards, which has always been a big problem.
Right.
You know, we educate these folks, and then we make it hard for them to get green cards, and they take their wonderful education and they go somewhere else. And we are in desperate need of people in these areas. So we don't know if it's just folks who are in status trying to convert to a green card, or perhaps somebody who is studying who isn't in status. Is he going to give them work authorization and legalize it in some way?
Somebody who might have already graduated and now is out of status didn't leave the country.
And can't work and is doing something like,
It's very unclear.
It wasn't so clear. And we also don't know if it's going to apply to people who are just in the undergraduate level studying.
Okay, Kerry,
So
we're gonna come back with that. Let me take the caller. Mohammed from New York. Hello, Mohammed.
আসসালামু আলাইকুম
Walaikum assalam.
আপু আমি কল করতে আমার মেয়ের জন্য অ্যাপ্লাই করছিলাম 2005 সালের নভেম্বর 20 তারিখে
আচ্ছা
তারপরে এখন আমার 2005 সালের 31 আগস্ট অ্যাপ্রুভ লেটার হয়েছে
আপনার মেয়ের বয়স কত?
21 বছর এবং
ম্যারিড আচ্ছা 2004 সালে আপনি অ্যাপ্লিকেশন করেছেন আর অ্যাপ্রুভাল কবে পেয়েছেন? অ্যাপ্রুভাল কবে পেয়েছেন?
অ্যাপ্রুভাল পাইছে 2005 এর 31 আগস্ট।
আচ্ছা আপনার কোশ্চেনটা বলেন মোহাম্মদ, আপনার কোশ্চেনটা বলেন।
এখন আমার কোশ্চেন হলো আমি আবার 2007 সালে ডিপার্টমেন্টের স্টেট থেকে কেস নাম্বার সহ অ্যাপ্রুভ একটা হয়েছে এখন আমার কোয়েশ্চন হলো প্রসেসিং কি কখন আরম্ভ হবে আর কি?
সরি, আপনি আমি ইটস নট ক্লিয়ার, আপনি একটু ক্লিয়ার করে বলেন। মোহাম্মদ, আপনার মেয়ের জন্য আপনি অ্যাপ্লিকেশন করেছেন 2004-এ এবং 2005-এ আপনি অ্যাপ্রুভাল পেয়েছেন।
হ্যাঁ, 2007 সালে আবার ওই ডিপার্টমেন্ট স্টেট থেকে ওই কেস নাম্বার সহ।
হ্যাঁ, বুঝতে পেরেছি। এখন আপনার কোয়েশ্চেনটা হচ্ছে যে আপনার মেয়ে কতদিন লাগবে এরকম কিছু?
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ।
আচ্ছা,
আমি
ঠিক
তো
আছে।
দেখতেছি পেপারে দেখতেছি 2003 সালের ডিসেম্বরের 15 তারিখ চলতেছে এখন।
ওকে, Mohammed, thank you. আপনি আমাদের সাথেই থাকেন। Eileen, what is the category for daughter married? Sorry, Mohammed, আপনি কি সিটিজেন নাকি হচ্ছে গ্রিন কার্ড হোল্ডার? Oh, okay. Sorry, he dropped. He asked the question is like it's a general like he applied for his daughter who is 21 and married in 2004. 2005 he got approval, but now his question is like how long it's going to take. So
Okay.
what is the
So
priority?
first of all, he would have to be a U.S. citizen filing for his child because if the child is married. A lawful permanent resident couldn't file for a married child over the age of 21. That would be an F3 category. So you can check with the Department of State for the visa bulletin. Right now they're at December 15th, 2003.
Oh, okay.
So when did he file it? 2005?
4.
Oh, 2004.
4, yes.
So several months from now he should be getting a fee
it's
bill.
sooner.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they're not that far off. But again, you know, we'll discuss all of this next week. I'd really, if there's any way to request that they ask some questions, maybe about the new bill or something other than the Department of State visa bulletin, that would be appreciated.
Mohammed, থ্যাংক ইউ আপনার কোয়েশ্চেনের জন্য। আপনার যেটা বলেছেন ভিসা বুলেটিন হিসাবে আপনার ডিসেম্বর 2003 চলছে। আপনার হয়তো জাস্ট কিছুদিন পরে আপনি ন্যাশনাল ভিসা সেন্টার থেকে আপনার মেয়ের জন্য কোনো লেটার পেতে পারেন অথবা প্রসেসিং ইটস ভেরি সুন। সো থ্যাংক ইউ মোহাম্মদ। অ্যান্ড দর্শক, আপনাদের কাছে রিকোয়েস্ট, আপনারা আজকে যে কোয়েশ্চেনগুলো করবেন আপনারা ইমিগ্রেশন রিফর্ম নিয়ে যদি কোয়েশ্চেন করেন বা এর সাথে রিলেটেড কোনো কোয়েশ্চেন থাকে আপনারা সেটা করুন, তাহলে ভালো হবে আমাদের ডিসকাশনের জন্য এবং আপনাদের জন্য। আমরা অনেক কিছু হয়তো বের করে নিয়ে আসতে পারবো আপনাদের কোয়েশ্চেনের মাধ্যমে। থ্যাংক ইউ দর্শক। ওকে, অ্যানাদার কলার, Mohammed Islam from New York. Hello, Mohammed. হ্যালো, জি সালাম আলাইকুম, বলেন।
মোহাম্মদ ইসলাম।
জি, আপনার প্রশ্নটা বলেন।
হ্যালো, আসসালামু আলাইকুম।
ওয়ালাইকুম আসসালাম।
আমার কোয়েশ্চন হইল 2013 সালের মেয়ের এন্ডে আমি আমার ছেলের ওয়াইফের লাগে অ্যাপ্লাই করছিলাম, কিন্তু এখন পর্যন্ত ওই কয়েকবার ফিস টিস দিছি, কিন্তু এখন পর্যন্ত কোনো সুত্তর পাই নাই যে তার ইন্টারভিউ ডেট কবে বা মেডিকেলের ডেট।
আচ্ছা ইসলাম, আপনার ছেলে কি সিটিজেন, রাইট?
হ্যাঁ।
আচ্ছা, এই ধরনের কেসের জন্য কোনো ওয়েটিং টাইম নেই। এটা সাধারণত আপনার যারা সিটিজেন তাদের সবসময় কারেন্ট থাকে। সো এটা ইমিগ্রেশনের প্রসেসের উপরেই, এটার স্পেসিফিক কোনো টাইম লিমিট নেই, কোনো ওয়েট করতে হবে না আপনাকে। যে কোনো সময় ওরা হয়তো আপনাকে লেটার পাঠাতে পারে। আর আপনার কি কোনো কোয়েশ্চেন আছে আজকের যেটা ওবামা যে স্পিচটা দিলেন এটার ব্যাপারে? যদি কোনো কোয়েশ্চেন থাকে সেটা করতে পারেন।
জি জি, আজকে যেটা ওবামা করলেন এটা তো আমরা অনেকেই বুঝি না। কাইন্ডলি একটু এক্সপ্লেইন করিয়া তার সারাংশটা যদি বলেন আপনারা, তো অনেক পিপল উপকৃত হবে।
হ্যাঁ হ্যাঁ, অবশ্যই। আমরা তো সারাংশটা আমরা বলেছিও আগেও, কিন্তু যদি আপনার কেস, আপনাদের অন্য কেসের থাকে তাহলে আপনারা
সবাই মোটামুটি ঠিক আছে।
থ্যাংক ইউ ইসলাম কল করার জন্য। ওকে, সো his question was a very genuine, like I told him already. So it's like 2013.
Maybe before we take another call, maybe we should just go through the 3 points and at least get it out, because I feel like our flow keeps getting interrupted with
definitely.
the Department of State questions.
Yes, we would like to know.
We're going to be back next week to answer other basic questions. So it looks like the White House has issued some press releases clarifying some of the points being made, and one of the big points is that this deferred action will require that you have a child who is a citizen or resident and that you have been here for 5 years. And it also requires that the child have been born before today. So if your child is born tomorrow, you're not going to qualify. So
wow.
It's not being here for 5 years, and it's not having a child who is a citizen or resident. It's both.
It's both.
It's
okay.
both.
That's interesting. So I wonder if you adopt a child, does the adoption have to have taken place before today?
I think the same rules would apply.
I would think so, but that's a very interesting strategy for those who are childless right now.
And it will include, once, I guess, the form, there'll have to be some form that's established. Once they apply, pay a fee. We don't know what that fee is. But immigration fees are usually not cheap.
It's interesting. He's called it register. They have to register and pass a criminal background test.
Right.
So is it kind of like the registration went through like when?
I'm thinking they want to register so they have an idea of how many aliens are out there. They're going to want they're going to want to know where people are, who they are, etc.
Right, but this is not the same as the special registration that unfortunately a lot of Bangladeshi people and other Southeast Asians and Middle Eastern people had to go through after September 11th. This is not that. But he used the term register. He didn't use the term apply. He said come forward and register. So that's going to be interesting. With deferred action for childhood arrivals, we didn't have one case that required an interview. It was all done through the mail. We don't know if this is going to require an interview. But what it will be if they get through the criminal background check, and we don't know what's going to be excluded, although I want to talk about that for 1 second, it'll be a work authorization for 3 years. So that's good news.
But when he mentioned pay taxes, is that after they get their work authorization going forward, or does he expect them to pay back?
Pay 3 years or 5 years back taxes.
Not clear, right?
We don't know the
He
answer to that.
also mentioned that play by the same rule as immigrants. So it's like paying the tax and follow the rules and regulations.
Obviously, from this moment forward, obviously they would be legalized in the manner that they're here legally working with a green card. With a work authorization. So obviously they should have to follow all the rules that we do.
What do you think, they will get an EIN number or an alien number?
If you get work authorization, you apply for a Social Security card, and it will say on the Social Security card only valid with work authorization. So that's standard.
So the other thing in this press release, two other things. One, it looks like there won't be a focus of enforcement on people with minor criminal history, whatever that means. So that's some good news, right? And then what he does is he takes the DACA people. Remember, the DACA people had an age cap. If you had reached age 32 by the summer of 2012, you were out. Even if you came to the U.S. before age 16, you couldn't get DACA. That has been eliminated as part of this. So now, if you came to the U.S. before, I think it's 16, and you happen to be over 32, it doesn't matter what age you are, you will be eligible for either this program or the original deferred action.
Okay, so that's another good thing. Let me explain a little bit to our audience about this. We are talking about the STEM and the DACA, right?
Yes.
So, Darshuk, আমরা যেটা Kerry and Eileen explain করলেন আমাদের আজকের যে ইমিগ্রেশন রিফর্ম নিয়ে there are many অনেক অপশনস যেটা আমরা বুঝতে পারলাম যে STM যেটা এখানে ওবামা এখনো হয়তো ক্লিয়ার না সবকিছু কিন্তু যেটা ইন্ট্রোডিউস করছে এটা আমাদের জন্য অনেক বড় একটা অপরচুনিটি আর ঢাকা যে একটা প্রোগ্রাম ছিল সেখানে 32 ইয়ার্সের বা 32 বছরের একটা লিমিটেশন ছিল যে 2012 এর মধ্যে 32 বছর যদি আপনার হয়ে যায় দেন ইউ আর নট এলিজিবল বাট সেটা এখন আর থাকছে না তার মানে which is another আরেকটা অপরচুনিটি আমাদের জন্য STM বা যারা এখানকার পড়াশোনা করছে সায়েন্স টেকনোলজি ম্যাথ বা যারা পাশ করেছে এখানে কিছু রুলস অ্যান্ড রেগুলেশন আছে বাট সেটা ছাড়াও অনেক অপশন থাকছে আমাদের জন্য সো দর্শক আপনারা প্রশ্ন করুন আপনারা প্রশ্ন করলে কিন্তু আরও কিছু জানতে পারবো আমরা আরও অনেক কিছু বের হয়ে আসবে আপনাদের প্রশ্নের মাধ্যমে আপনাদের যাদেরই এই সম্বন্ধে কোনো কোয়েশ্চেন থাকে আপনারা কল করুন দর্শক আপনারা যদি অ্যাটর্নির সাথে যোগাযোগ করতে চান অথবা আমাদের অ্যাটর্নিদের সাথে যোগাযোগ করতে চান তাহলে আপনারা কল করতে পারেন অথবা Bretz & Coven LLP আমাদের স্ক্রিনে শো করছে তাদের ইনফরমেশন এবং তাদের অ্যাড্রেস তাদের ফোন নাম্বার হচ্ছে 212-267-2555 অ্যান্ড আপনারা ফোনে স্কাইপে এবং তাদের সাথে ইমেলে যোগাযোগ করতে পারেন আপনাদের যে কোনো কমপ্লিকেটেড ইমিগ্রেশন কেস নিয়ে আপনারা তাদের সাথে কথা বলতে পারেন আর অবভিয়াসলি যারা যেটা রিফর্মের ব্যাপার যে ইমিগ্রেশনে যদি কোনো ক্রিমিনাল হিস্ট্রি থাকে বেটার আপনারা আগে থেকে আপনাদের ইনফরমেশনগুলো যাচাই বাছাই করুন সো রেজিস্ট্রেশনের পরে আপনাদের হয়তো অনেক ভালো কোনো অপরচুনিটি থাকতে পারে দর্শক ফোন করুন we have a caller Chaudhry from New York hello Chaudhry
good evening আসসালামু আলাইকুম
good evening ওয়া আলাইকুম আসসালাম বলুন
জি আমার প্রশ্নটা আজকের ব্যাপারটা নিয়ে
জি বলুন
আমার লাস্ট এন্ট্রি ছিল 2006 অক্টোবর 2004 অক্টোবর এবং আমার ওয়াইফের লাস্ট এন্ট্রি ছিল 2006 এপ্রিল
ওকে আপনার এন্ট্রি ছিল 2006 এর অক্টোবর
না আমার এন্ট্রি ছিল 2004 অক্টোবর
ওকে এন্ড আপনার ওয়াইফ হচ্ছে
লাস্ট এন্ট্রি 2006 এপ্রিল আই গেস এপ্রিল
2006 এপ্রিল ওকে
আমার দুইটা বেবি আছে এখানে ওরা জন্ম একজন 2005 এ একজন 2007 এ দুটো বেবি এখানে born
2007 আচ্ছা আপনার ওয়াইফ বলেন লাস্ট এন্ট্রি ও আচ্ছা ইন বিটুইন শেষ ছিল আবার
হ্যাঁ ও আমাদের তখন এখানে ওই যে কি বলে যে ভিজিট ভিসা ছিল আমরা আসছি এসে আমার ফার্স্ট বেবি হওয়ার পর আমার ওয়াইফ বাংলাদেশ চলে গিয়েছিল
আচ্ছা আপনি যে এখানে এসেছিলেন আপনি কোন ক্যাটাগরিতে এসেছিলেন এদেশে
ওই যে ভিজিট ভিসা যেটাকে কি বলে হ্যাঁ মানে ভিজিট ভিসা B1 B2 ভিসা এরকম
আচ্ছা B1 B2 ওকে আচ্ছা আপনার কোশ্চেনটা বলেন
ভিজিট ভিসা যেটাকে বলে সেটা
B1 B2 সাধারণত বিজনেস ভিসার ক্যাটাগরিতে পড়ে
বিজনেস ভিসা না ওটা ভিজিট ভিসা ভিজিটর হিসেবে আসছিলাম
আপনি ভিজিটর হিসেবে এসেছিলেন ওকে অলরাইট আপনার কোশ্চেনটা
ওকে আমি 2008 এ পলিটিক্যাল অ্যাসাইলাম করি পলিটিক্যাল অ্যাসাইলাম করি তাও আচ্ছা পলিটিক্যাল অ্যাসাইলাম করার পর সেটা বিভিন্নভাবে মানে প্রসেস হতে লেট হতে 2012 অক্টোবরে আমার এই কি বলে যে ইন্ডিভিজুয়াল হিয়ারিং ছিল তখন আমার অ্যাটর্নি আমাকে বললো যে তুমি যদি অ্যাডমিনিস্ট্রেটিভলি ক্লোজ করে দাও তোমার কেসটা তুমি নাথিং লুজ তুমি কিছু লুজ করবে না তুমি দেশে থাকতে পারবে ওয়ার্ক পারমিট কন্টিনিউ পেয়ে যাবে তো আমি ভাবলাম যে যদি আমাকে ডিভোর্সন করা হয় আমার ওয়াইফ নিয়ে বাচ্চা নিয়ে কোথায় যাবো ঠিক আছে অ্যাডমিনিস্ট্রেটিভলি ক্লোজ যদি হয়ে যায় তো আমি দেশে ফ্রি থাকবো কাজ করবো ট্যাক্স দিব কোনো সমস্যা নেই তো আনফরচুনেটলি আমি
আপনার প্রশ্নটা বলেন স্পেসিফিক যদি প্রশ্নটা করেন আমাদের জন্য সুবিধা হবে আপনার প্রশ্নের উত্তরটা দিতে
ওকে এখন আজকে যে অ্যানাউন্সমেন্ট হলো যেহেতু আমার এখানে মানে বেবি আসছে ওদের জন্ম হয়েছে এবং আমি প্রায় 10 বছর এই দেশে আমি কি কোনো ক্যাটাগরিতে পড়তে পারি আর যদি পড়ি তাহলে কিভাবে কি করতে পারি
একটা চৌধুরী একটা কোশ্চেন সেটা হচ্ছে যে আপনার পলিটিক্যাল অ্যাসাইলামটা কি গ্রান্টেড হয়েছিল
জি না ওই যে বললাম যে আমার হ্যাঁ ওইটা অ্যাডমিনিস্ট্রেটিভ ক্লোজ আছে এটা কোনো গ্র্যান্টও হয় নাই ডিপোর্টেশন হয়নি
ওকে ওকে ঠিক আছে আপনি আমাদের সাথেই থাকেন আমি আপনার কোশ্চেনটা ট্রান্সলেট করছি Eileen Kerry his question is like he came into the country in 2004 with a B1 B2 visa his wife is here since April 2006 the last entry was 2006 they have 2 children which born here in 2005 and 2007 he applied for political asylum in 2008 which was administratively closed in 2012, which is attorney
prosecutorial discretion.
Right.
Yes.
So now his question is like does he have any category to apply
Seems like
Obama's?
he falls squarely within what Obama just announced tonight.
So he's already got PD. So the people who have PD, if he had a pending asylum application, he probably already has work authorization.
Right. So he's not going to get much more from this.
Right. What Obama has put forth would only be work authorization ultimately for a 3-year period. We don't know how long PD is going to last for. I mean, they can always, the government can always recalendar the case and go forward on it. So right now, without doing a full consultation to see if there's any other means, like maybe he's been a victim of a crime and maybe we need to discuss a U visa with him. But the way things are right now, unless there's going to be a new immigration bill, no, he cannot go forward and get a green card based upon tonight's, message from the president or his current status. So what he should look into, he can always make an appointment. We could discuss whether he's eligible under a U visa or any other means. But right now,
so it's need a much more discussion on his background and everything. So we cannot be specific.
And after we answer that, since I've been reviewing the press release from the White House, we ought to clarify a few other points after that.
But before we end the show,
right now, So let me answer his question. Chaudhry, আপনার যে কেসটি আছে এখন, আপনি বলেন যে আপনার political asylum টা administratively closed, but the thing is like আপনি green card যেহেতু ওবামা যেটা ইন্ট্রোডিউস করছে এটাতে কিন্তু আপনি গ্রিন কার্ডের দিকে যাচ্ছে না। তার ইন্ট্রোডিউসটা হচ্ছে যে যারা এখানে ইলিগালি বা আনডকুমেন্টেড ইমিগ্রেন্টস আছে তারা ওয়ার্ক অথরাইজেশন পাবে বা তাদের ফিয়ারটা থাকবে না যে তারা এখান থেকে ডিপোর্ট হবে। সো আপনি আপাতত তো এলিজিবল না, কিন্তু তারপরেও আপনার একটা সুযোগ, আপনার হয়তো যে আপনার ব্যাকগ্রাউন্ড হিসাবে বা আপনার কেসটা হয়তো ডিসকাস করার পরে তারা আরও ফাইন্ড আউট করতে পারবে আরও ডিটেলসে গেলে, যেটা এই শোয়ের মাধ্যমে সম্ভব না। আপনি যদি চান আপনি আপনার লয়ার সাথে যোগাযোগ করতে পারেন, অথবা আপনি আইলিন অথবা ক্যারি ব্রেটসের সাথে ব্রেটস অ্যান্ড কোভেন এলপিতে গিয়ে আপনি যোগাযোগ করতে পারেন তাদের সাথে এবং কনসাল্ট করতে পারেন আপনার কেস নিয়ে ডিটেলস আপনার সব কিছু ইনফরমেশন নিয়ে। দেন হোপফুলি আপনার কোনো ভালো অপশন থাকতে পারে এখানে। থ্যাংক ইউ কল করার জন্য। So we were talking about the
right. So there was a really beautiful press release from the White House that details pages and pages of all kinds of things, which I think probably next week Eileen, who will be here on Thanksgiving Eve, can go over that in detail. But one of the first points to note is that part of what he wants to do, he can do through executive action, and they expect the earliest of this registration period to begin in early spring. So they're already talking about several months away. The second is what he wanted to do with STEM folks, what he wants to do with L1 visas, what he wants to do with family unity, and people being able to travel while they're waiting for green cards. Always a big problem that people can't travel, they have to wait. Somebody dies back home, they haven't been home in years. That requires formal regulations, and that process could take as long as a year to 18 months. So part of this will come relatively quickly, early in the spring, maybe March. And part of this will take a bit longer. I think reading all of this with all the ideas that are in here, including streamlining the immigration court process, I think he's really hoping this is going to stimulate real comprehensive reform from Congress. He's laid out a great plan that I think it's going to be hard for Republicans to deny, to come up with something that's better or different than that.
Definitely they shouldn't, because it is a good opportunity not only for the immigrants, it's good opportunity for our country too. Because then those millions of undocumented people will pay taxes and they will be accountable by the rules and regulation of United States. They are, and now they are invisible to the government unless you are breaking their door. Otherwise, so they shouldn't, in my opinion, and I hope all the people should agree with that.
A great first step.
Yeah, definitely, they should not disagree with this.
I think one of the things we missed, though, because I'm rereading actually the transcript of what he said, he's saying making it easier for high-skilled workers, graduates, and entrepreneurs. So you may not have even had to go to school here. And so an entrepreneur is somebody is a businessman.
It's in the press release.
Yeah. So it's interesting because we're going to have we're going to learn a lot more, because he just barely touched on who may be getting
Right. The
benefit
press
from
release
this.
refers to entrepreneurs, people who are willing to invest some kind of money. And you've spoken many times in the show not only about investor visas, which require a lot of money, but about the EB,
The E2.
the E2 visa, which is not every country in the world. Bangladesh, fortunately, is one of those countries. Oddly enough, India is not. That can qualify for being able to open up even a small business to get a green card for you and your family.
Wow.
So,
That's
Well, not a green card. You get a non-immigrant visa that's renewable indefinitely. It's not like you have to worry that it's going to expire unless the business goes.
Those changes, unfortunately, are going to take regulations, and he can't do that on his own without the regs. But the other changes will come much sooner.
Okay,
and we'll see.
Eileen, we have, I guess we have some emails also. So would you like to answer the emails
Sure. So there's one email from a gentleman who came to the United States. I'm assuming, it's not clear in the email, but I'm assuming he's got his green card since October 10th, 2010. He only has his green card for 4 years. He needs to have his green card for 5 in order to file for naturalization, which is what he's asking about. You can file as early as 90 days prior to his 5th anniversary. Okay. He's only traveled 1 week out of the 5 years, so he doesn't have to worry about physical presence. As long as he has the good moral character, he's eligible to file for naturalization. His second question is, can he change his name? At the time of application, they actually ask you, would you like to change your name? And he could change his name to almost anything. I think there's a few names on the list that are not authorized for whatever reason.
Okay,
Usually terroristic kind of names,
I don't think
right?
you could change your name to Adolf Hitler or something like that. But
or Barack Obama, even.
Right, but very often people, especially from Asian countries, will try to anglicize their name and pick, Mary Thompson.
Yeah, no, he doesn't want to do that. He wants to go to a very similar name, and that's fine. He could do that. What happens is when you do it on your application, then immigration will make it a legal name change. You will get a legal document that says you've legally changed your name. And the only benefit to doing that, as opposed to going to the courts and filing a name change, is you're not paying for the court fees for a legal name change.
It's a simple way of doing it.
It's a simple way. It's very quick. And it only extends... I don't. Are you supposed to mention the name? I mean,
yes,
this is somebody.
Yeah. Email, you can just mention the name where
First
they are.
name.
It's
All
just the
right,
first name, probably.
Mohammed.
Mohammed. Okay. So it's the
or
email from Mohammed.
Samad. It's one of the two. So Samad could be.
Okay, that will be okay.
He has MD in front of it at some point.
That's Mohammed.
Yeah, he can definitely do both. He can file for naturalization, but he won't be able to file until sometime in mid-July 2015 for naturalization. Okay? I'll be honest with you, I didn't read the other one. First question is that I applied for my brother and sister in 2006. I want to know how many more years it's going to take. Okay. To apply for a brother-sister petition, we're currently dealing with February of 2002. Yes. So he's got at least 4 years, maybe more. I want to apply for my stepsister, which is about 75 years old. Interesting. Stepsisters, I don't think you'd be able to apply for your stepsister unless the relationship occurred before they were 18, wouldn't you think?
Wow.
I don't know. I'd have to actually research that and get back to that next week.
Half-sister, the answer is yes. Stepsister, maybe if the stepsister relationship occurred before the beneficiary was 18, but I don't know the answer to that. But the bigger problem is
so we can answer
she's 75. And we are on a 12 or 13-year wait.
Yeah, even if, let's say he was eligible. You're right, it's a 12-year wait. She's going to come here when she's 87, 80, or even older. So that would be an issue.
But that's a good question to come back with next week.
Yes, okay. Yeah, now, the last question. I applied for my brother in 2006. He has a daughter who's disabled. I was wondering if there was a possibility to get the visa faster so we can treat the little girl here. That's very sad. The answer is, unfortunately, no. If they needed to treat the girl here, they can apply for a B1 visa, which is a visa B1, B2 visa. B1 is used for many things, not just business, but one of them could be for health-related reasons. So if they needed to come here earlier, they could apply for a B1. But
humanitarian parole.
But it's only going to be for 6 months. And again, it's in a tourist status. They won't have any right to work here. So there's a lot of issues.
Well, the humanitarian parole, but they would need to be able to show how the medical treatment is going to be paid for unless they have someone sponsoring that.
So it is possible that while his case is on process, he can bring them for the treatment?
It would be an application at the U.S. consulate for a visa, a non-immigrant visa to come over here. And again, they're going to be explaining that at that non-immigrant interview that they have an immigrant visa pending. The likelihood of success is very, very slim. But obviously, she does have a major medical issue. And they should try.
They should try.
They should try.
I guess he got his answer. What is the name of the person? Did not mention?
Shamsul.
Shamsul.
Hi, this is Shamsul.
Okay. All right. So we got the answer for them. So they should apply for the B1 visa. We'll take the last caller for today. Hello. Hello, Majim.
Hello.
Hello. জি বলুন।
আপনাদের এই আয়োজনের জন্য ধন্যবাদ।
ওয়েলকাম আপনাকে।
মুয়াজ্জেম, আমি জামাইকা থেকে বলছি।
জি, আপনার প্রশ্নটা করুন ভাইয়া।
জি, আমার ভাই 1993 ইংরেজিতে এই দেশে R1 ভিসাতে আসছিল।
1993 তে?
হ্যাঁ, আসছিল। তারপর একটা মসজিদ থেকে গ্রিন কার্ডের জন্য অ্যাপ্লাই করা হয়। কিন্তু $5 ফিস বেশি দেওয়াতে গ্রিন কার্ডের অ্যাপ্লিকেশন অ্যাপ্রুভেল হওয়ার পরও ক্যান্সেল হয়ে যায়। পরবর্তীতে উনি সিএসএস প্রোগ্রামে চলে যায়, কয়েক বছর ওয়ার্ক পারমিট রিনিউ করার পর এখন ডিনাই করে দিছে। তবে যতদিন ওনার ওয়ার্ক পারমিট ছিল উনি ট্যাক্স ফাইল করছে। এখন ওনার 20 থেকে 21 বছর যাবত এই দেশে আছে সিঙ্গল। ওনাদের কি কোনো ব্যবস্থা হবে এই প্রোগ্রামে?
আচ্ছা, থ্যাংক ইউ মুয়াজ্জেম। আমি আপনার প্রশ্নটি রাখছি তাদের সামনে এবং আপনি আমাদের সাথেই থাকেন, আপনার প্রশ্নটির উত্তর দেওয়ার চেষ্টা করছি। থ্যাংক ইউ। Eileen, Kerry, his question is like his brother has been here since 1993. He came in with the R1 visa. First, he got an application through a mosque in a masjid, the praying. He got approval for a green card, but because he paid $5 extra, as he mentioned, that $5 extra fees, his green card approval got cancelled later on. And then he applied for CSS. He got work permit. Afterward, the work permit has been like the CSS has been denied. So obviously, his work permit is gone. So now his question is like, is there any possibilities for him since he's living to a 20 to 21 year in the United States?
Does he have any children?
And no, he's single, as he mentioned. He's living here, and he is as long as he had the work permit, he paid tax here.
Yeah.
So
go ahead.
Just real fast. He would certainly qualify for what Obama is raising as long as fraud is not a problem, because the CSS application, clearly he wasn't eligible for that.
He doesn't have any children.
Oh, he wouldn't have children. No,
he doesn't
you're
have
right.
any children.
But
no, the question here is, something's not right, okay? He came here on an R1. R1 is a religious worker. He not only had the R1, he got approved for the green card, but it got denied because he paid $5 extras in fees.
That's what he said.
This doesn't make any sense to me. I would suggest this person come in for a consult because it doesn't make any sense with the information I've gotten. And I don't want to speculate anymore, and it's way beyond my time and past my bedtime.
That is a good thing.
But we are still doing complimentary consults for those who mentioned this
see
show,
us in
right?
the office.
Yes, absolutely. Okay, so that's a good thing you mentioned. মজিম, আপনার যে কোয়েশ্চেনটি করেছেন ইজ ভেরি কমপ্লিকেটেড, তো আপনি দয়া করে কোনো অ্যাটর্নির সাথে যোগাযোগ করুন এই ব্যাপারে, অথবা আপনি আইলিন অ্যান্ড ক্যারি অ্যাজ ব্রেটস অ্যান্ড কোভেন এলএলপি তাদের সাথে যোগাযোগ করতে পারেন। তাদের ফোন নাম্বার আমাদের স্ক্রিনেই আছে। থ্যাংক ইউ ফর আপনার প্রশ্নের জন্য, আপনার কল করার জন্য। অ্যাজ আমরা অনেকের প্রশ্ন আজকে নিতে পারিনি, আমরা অনেকক্ষণ আপনাদের সাথেই ছিলাম। দর্শক আপনারা okay, so is there anything you want to mention at the end regarding
No, I think, as Kerry said, this is a good first step. We have to digest it a little bit more. We're going to hear a little bit more tomorrow, and we'll just go through what the press releases are.
Okay, so
he didn't even mention some of the stuff that was in the press release, so there's a lot
we need
that
more
we need
clarification about this.
a lot. I mean, if DACA was even DACA wasn't even mentioned, and it's being
it's
extended.
part of the package, correct.
So there's a lot more. We'll discuss more next week. Hopefully, I'll have
So we
a
need
lot
to have
clearer.
more clarification about this.
There'll be more
And
clarity
Kerry,
next week.
you want to say something?
No, I think we've summed it up.
Okay, all right. So দর্শক আজকে আমরা যতটুকু জানতে পেরেছি তাতে আমরা অনেক আশান্বিত যে হয়তোবা আরো আমাদের জন্য অনেক ভালো কিছু থাকবে। অ্যান্ড যেহেতু সবকিছু ক্লিয়ার না আজ ওবামার স্পিচ থেকে, আমরা আরেকটু ওয়েট করব আপনাদের আরো ডিটেলস অনেক কিছু জানানোর জন্য। সো আমরা হয়তো নেক্সট উইকে আপনারা রিফর্ম নিয়ে যদি কোনো কোয়েশ্চেন করতে চান, আপনারা নেক্সট উইকে আপনাদের প্রশ্ন রেডি রাখুন এবং আমাদেরকে স্পেসিফিকলি রিফর্ম নিয়ে কথা বলুন, রিফর্ম নিয়ে কল করুন, যাতে আমরা আপনাদের জন্য ভালো কিছু বের করে আনতে পারি। দর্শক আমাদের সাথেই থাকুন। অ্যান্ড আপনারা যদি ব্রেটস এন্ড কোভেন এলএলপি তে যোগাযোগ করতে চান, আমাদের স্ক্রিনে তাদের ইনফরমেশন আছে, আপনারা সেখানে কল করুন আপনাদের কনসালটেশনের জন্য। যারা এই শোর মাধ্যমে আসছেন তাদের জন্য ক্যারি খুব ভালো একটা অপশন দিলেন যে তারা তাদের সাথে consult করতে পারেন as I guess free for a first time.
Yes.
Okay, so তারা ফ্রি কনসাল্ট করতে পারেন এবং ক্যারি এবং আইলিন আপনাদের প্রশ্নের উত্তর দিবেন। সো দর্শক আজ এই পর্যন্তই।
Cine Bangla though. They have to mention
আপনারা সিনে বাংলা মেনশন করবেন যে আপনারা এখানে কলার, তাহলে আপনাদের জন্য ফ্রি কনসালটেশন আছে ফার্স্ট টাইম। সো এটা খুবই ভালো একটা সুযোগ, দর্শক সুযোগটি ব্যবহার করুন আর আমাদের সাথেই থাকুন। আমরা আবারও আসব আপনাদের জন্য সিনে বাংলার পর্দায় প্রতি বৃহস্পতিবার 8টা থেকে 9টা। আর আমাদের সাথেই থাকুন দর্শক, ভালো থাকুন, সুস্থ থাকুন। আজ এ পর্যন্তই। আর আমরা খুবই দুঃখিত যাদের কল নিতে পারিনি। খোদা হাফেজ।